Today, we gon' throw all stress away. Time is now, no more delay. No more fear, won't be afraid. I'll be brave. So long, me done gone through plenty storms. Times me had no one to call. Still will never see me fall. Only see me standing tall. I'm blessed, God will deal with the rest. Just let it go. Let it go. Yesterday's already gone. Look ahead, no need to go dwell. Just let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Go, 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 go. Let it go. Go, 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 go. Let it go. Go, go. I'm blessed, God will deal with the rest. Just let it go. Go, go. Let it go. Go, go. Let it go. Take a deep breath. Good vibes, no regret. Once you have done your best, be proud of yourself. Strength, no weakness. Work hard for all I get. Energy not hard to forget. Want all, not anything less. This is why today me gon' throw all stress away. Time is now, no more delay. No more fear, won't be afraid. I'll be brave. So long, me done gone through plenty storms. Times me had no one to call. Still will never see me fall. Only see me standing tall. I'm blessed, God will deal with the rest. Just let it go. Let it go. Yesterday's already gone. Look ahead, no need to go dwell. Just let it go. Let it go.
I almost said Sean.
Go, go,
Shore D
go, go. Let it
says let it go.
go, 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 go.
Yeah, the artist on this track goes by the name Shore D.
I'm blessed, God will.
The track is called Let It Go.
God will deal with the rest. Just let it go.
Greetings and salutations, one and all. How you doing?
Yesterday's already gone.
I want to say big ups to each and everyone locked in right now on the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew. It's Real Talk Night.
Let it go. Let it go.
And we in for quite a talk tonight.
Go, go, go. Let
I want to say big ups to everyone locked in and those on tune in radio on the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew.
it go, go.
Those locked in out to New Jersey, NIE Radio.
The rest, just let it go. Go,
Big ups to New Jersey's finest.
go, let it go.
The Motivator, big up your status. Remember, you can catch the Motivator every Thursday and Saturday.
Once you have
Double Trouble Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern.
strength, no weakness.
Motivation Saturdays at 3 p.m. Eastern.
Energy not hard to forget. Want all, not anything less.
Big ups to those who are locked in on the Foundation Radio Network, ClintonLindsay.com.
This away. Time is now.
Big up Mr. Lindsay.
No more fear, won't be afraid.
Can catch him live at midday Eastern,
Me done gone through plenty storms. Times me had
Monday through Friday.
call. Still will never see
Big ups to those who are locked in on PEMGTV.com.
tall. I'm blessed
Much love to you.
with the rest. Just
Those on Zeno FM. Blessings.
let it go. Yesterday's already gone.
Those locked in on Facebook Live and Clubhouse. Don't get too comfortable. Remember, it's only a segment broadcast.
Rest, just let it go. Let it
Use a link that is pinned in the comment section
go. Already gone.
or in the description, kevinstew.com.
Ahead, no need to go dwell. Just
Hey man, come on over to the home of the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew, where you're encouraged to have acceptance through enlightenment.
it go, 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 go. Let it go, go, go.
Yeah man, you can let it go, you know. You don't need to hold on to it.
Go, go, go. I'm blessed, God will deal with the rest. Just let it go, go, go. Let it go, go.
I want to say thank you to my affiliates. Oh, I did say thank you to the affiliates. I want to say thank you to my sponsors.
No regret.
Paul C Media Group, and being in a moment is priceless. Give them a call.
What
What can they do for you? Everything that you see here on kevinstew.com and more.
Energy not hard
So they host KevinStew.com. That's the first thing.
Anything less
But outside of that,
today.
you have a wedding, a seminar, a church service, a funeral, a party, a graduation, you name it. You want to stream it live on a secure platform, whether it is yours or theirs, give them a call.
Me don't go.
Let them hook you up, yeah?
Time
754-999-1140.
never seen before. Only see me.
Call them up, tell them you heard about them on the night shift to DJ Kevin too.
I'm blessed. God will deal with the rest.
Want to say thank you to Althea and her Healing Heavenly Hands. Althea is a licensed massage therapist operating out of Broad County, North Miami-Dade, and South Palm Beach counties. She comes to you bringing her table, her oils, and over 20 years massage therapy experience. She only has one request outside of paying her. That's that you get off her table and go sleep somewhere else when she's done. Because I always fall asleep. She made that a rule for everybody.
God will deal with the rest. Just let it go.
You can call Althea 954-655-9000 or email her at thealater@att.net.
No need to go dwell. Just
Set up your appointment today.
let it go.
Thank you to Reggae Global Entertainment.
Go, go, go.
Reggae Global will act as your booking agent, handle your tour management,
Go, go.
take care of your copyrights, business registration, legal service referrals, music production, marketing and promotion, and so much more.
I'm blessed. God will deal.
Check them out, reggaeglobal.com.
Go, go. Let it go.
Contact them whichever way you see fit.
Go. Take a deep breath.
Let's go to the website and take it from there.
Regret. Once you have done your best, be proud of yourself.
I want to say thank you to Matt Neal Trucking.
Work hard.
With Matt Neal Trucking, you're in good hands.
Energy.
They're licensed and insured movers.
One all night.
So if you want to move from here to there, not sure how to get it done,
Today, me gon' try.
want to work out the logistics,
Time is
you
now.
want to just put it in someone's hand and say, hey, you do it.
Fear won't be
And call them up, 954-406-9740.
long. Me don't go.
Tell them you heard about them on the night shift to DJ Kevin Steele.
Had no one to call. Still will never see me fall. Only see me standing tall.
Yeah, you see me standing tall?
God will deal with the rest. Just let it go. Let it go.
Yeah, man, you can't let it go. You don't need to hold on to everything, and it's not everything that you need to hold on to. Some things, some experiences, you just need to let them go so that you can grow. And boy, let me tell you, I'm a poet and I don't even know it.
Go, 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 go. Let it go, go, go.
So without further ado,
Go, let it go.
thank you, Shore D,
I'm blessed. God will deal
for the track called Let It Go.
with it. Go, go.
Without further ado, I present to you the woman of the moment, the one who will be bringing the real information for us tonight. No stranger to the night shift to DJ Kevin Stew. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. KellyRae herself, Dr. KellyRae Brown. Hi, Dr. KellyRae. How are you? Wait.
DJ.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it looks like you were muted there for a moment. Yeah, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I am well. Thank you very much for asking. I am doing well. Working on letting go of some things and learning more and more every day how to let go. You know, because it's a process, right? You never quite
Right.
get it. Yeah. So I'm learning and I'm growing. I'm improving each day. It's a process. But I saw this post that you made on social media, and I was like, yo, you know, that needs to be my subject of discussion for real talk. It really does. And once again, I was moving in one direction and I saw something that led me in a different direction. And I reached out to you, and I'm grateful that you accepted and could make the time to be here with us tonight. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure and an honor to be here.
So I played the song just now about letting it go. And I made the statement that we should just let things go. We don't need to be holding on to things like that. We can let them go, but it's not really that easy when we're talking about healing. Not that easy for some. Some people decide that whatever, it's done, it's gone. I don't care anymore. I'm over it. For those of you that are listening in and want to participate tonight, by the way, the phone lines are always open. 773-789-STEW gets you in touch. It's 773-789-7839. You can call, you can text, you can WhatsApp, you can Telegram. But we do encourage that you call to be a part of this broadcast. Of course, you can jump into the stew pot on kevinstew.com. And those of you wondering what the stew pot is, it's where we keep things interactive and bubbling. Others call it a chat room, but because we're fancy, we call it the stew pot. So come on in. You don't need to register. Just go to kevinstew.com and you're a part of the stew pot. You don't need to give your firstborn. You don't need to offer a blood sacrifice. You don't need to give up an internal organ. Nothing like that. You can remain anonymous if you choose. And of course, you can put your name and let us know who you are. So big ups to everyone locked in. Marlon from Puerto Rico. Blessings to you. Buenos tardes. Yeah, it's the same time. Yeah, buenos tardes. Yes, Dr. Caribbean. So the whole concept of it sounds good in the song. It sounds good when I say it. You want to grow, you want to heal, just let it go. But it isn't always that easy, is it?
No, it's a process. Actually, it's a process almost like grieving. If you think about there being processes for grieving or levels or steps that people generally take, and it's not necessarily linear either. It's not like, oh, I go from step 1 to step 2. Sometimes we bounce in between those steps. And so what I've learned and experienced is people tend to go through healing from past traumas or experiences that have been negative or negatively impactful in their lives when they've become so uncomfortable. There's plenty of things that we can go through and experience negative things and then take on new personas or new ways of being to try to either deny or ignore or push away from, as you said, just let it go without even looking at it.
Right.
And that's well and good until it becomes a disruption in your life, whether it be your career, your relationships, your health, any of those things.
How then are we really supposed to deal with it? It sounds good. It's a thing that we go with. But why not go with that? Why can't that be the thing to go with? What's so dangerous about that?
About healing?
About just going with letting it go, just saying, hey, is there any
Happens.
let me not ask it that way. Is there anything dangerous about that? That's probably the question I should ask. Is there any danger to it? Everybody wants to let go of something. However, they feel the need to hold on to it. We always like to hold on to our hurts and wear them like a badge of honor, and we always telling the story of somebody hurt us, and then we go through the whole thing about how they went about hurting us, and it's like we have a right to do that. But
well, there's also a gain to staying there too.
And
you as somebody who is, like you say, sharing the story of like, I'd just been hurt, let's say relationship wise. There is something to be gained by that if we tell our story enough and we get enough, attention or people offering to help us or, those kinds of things. And those things are not necessarily a conscious thing that we decide, you know what, I just want to be a victim of my past for my whole life. And because I'm getting all of this adoration and attention and focus on me, how narcissistic is that? Most people aren't consciously walking around in that state. It's just all stuff that's been practiced over the years that gets to that point.
So wait, are you saying that we are unconsciously narcissistic? Most of us?
We can't. No, can all have narcissistic tendencies for sure.
Yeah. But okay, so when it comes to things like past hurts, our narcissism comes out because
Not necessarily, but some people become victims of their own victimization. Their past traumas that happened to them, they can stay in that victim state of, I can only find unhealthy partners, for instance. Or it seems like every example would be every guy I meet treats me badly. And then I continue to keep having these kind of relationships. And then what I get from that is, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, it just compounds a belief we already have about ourselves that we're not good enough to have a healthy relationship.
Got you. I let me ask you, kind of backtracking a bit. Was there something that inspired you creating that post about healing?
Yeah, because there was. And what created that was, I've seen a lot of people, and specifically on social media, right? We've all been kind of thrusted into the social media world over the last 2 years with COVID and everything else. That seems to be where everybody has gone now, is on some form of social media. And then you have all kinds of either healers or coaches or counselors or motivational people posting these posts of, here's 6 keys to get you this, or here's the secret strategy to heal your life. And, just do this one thing and you'll magically be, it's almost like this hook and bait type wording that's put out there to draw people in. It's like, let's go push on your pain points, because then you'll get me some business. That's what that all really kind of comes down to. And I'm not saying that that's what people necessarily are doing. They want to help people. They want to stand out amongst the sea of social media people,
right?
To let people know that they're there to help them. But the thing is those things are also not necessarily true. There is no one size fits all. There is no do step A through B through C and you're suddenly healed and forevermore. You'll never have to heal again. And I think that's a misnomer. And I hate for people to think that they're never going to heal, that they go through all of this work and they feel like they're doing well, and then something comes along in the world that kind of maybe sets them back, or they have another experience that might be perceived as negative, and immediately they think, I haven't healed enough. This is why this is happening to me. And so that's kind of what was the motivation for me, is I want people to know, look, there is no one size fits all. There's no, you do these things and you'll instantly be healed and never have to go through a hardship ever again in your life. That would be setting us up for failure. And also setting the person up who's done a lot of work on themselves to live more vibrantly, live more whole, live more, present in their life, to think, well, when am I ever going to be good enough? When am I ever going to meet this, finish line of healing? And I want people to know that you just do the best that you can do and make improvements, and know that life is going to continue to take you through experiences as you go forward. Could be good, could be not pleasant, and it could be bad, but it doesn't make you a failure in whatever you're doing right now to work on healing yourself.
Okay, so they're recognizing that you deserve that better. You deserve to feel that joy. You deserve to be healed in essence. Basically, a lot of us don't feel like we deserve it for some reason. So we're in a constant state of purgatory.
Yeah, that could be, right? I mean, that could be conditioning that happened to us from a very early age on.
See, this is why I really think therapy is important. I recommend it to everybody. So here we go. We recognize that something is amiss. We have this experience. We're hurting, and we want to move on from this hurt. Now, since it's a process, you have to start somewhere. Is there really a given point? Because you mentioned that there isn't a one size fits all. There isn't a magic bullet to this thing. But is there really a starting point? Since it's a process, is there a starting point, and are there actual steps that you need to take in order to get to that place of healing? And I ask that with certain things being taken into consideration. Things like PTSD. And I use PTSD, especially for us here in South Florida, in the very simple form of every year between June and September, October, we look out for hurricanes. We're watching the weather reports constantly. And the moment you hear a tropical storm round about the Eastern Caribbean, round about at a certain point in the Eastern Caribbean, because it generally takes a certain track, we start getting plyboard and buying up the bread and the tin goods off the shelves when we already have tin goods in our pantry. And we go into this state of panic. So is there a process and a starting point to this process that if something else happens, it doesn't trigger us to the point where we go back to square one?
Well, part of the process, if we just, I have a couple of things I've written out here, just thinking maybe this might be where we might be going with our conversation tonight.
Listen, it's wherever you take it. I just have some random questions, some ideas in my head that I believe other people might be asking too. And speaking of other people, if you people out there that are listening want to ask some questions, again, the number is available. You can call in or jump into the stew pot on kevinstew.com. The number 773-789-STEW. 773-789-7839. Sorry, go ahead, Dr. KellyRae.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, when somebody goes through grief, there's a number of phases or stages that we go through. The same is true with healing. Like, for one, surrendering to suffering. And so what does that mean? Be willing to put down the suffering or stop trying to escape from or avoid what has happened to you, whatever that may be. If it's being in an unhealthy relationship, if it's having an unhealthy relationship with food, an unhealthy relationship with your money, or sexual trauma or abuse, any of those things, at some point we have to be willing to say, I no longer want to run from this. I no longer want to try to escape this by doing these other things that are not letting the haunting go away from my head at nighttime when I go to sleep. or, the wheels in my head just keep spinning around with the story of whatever's happened to me.
Not reliving it.
Right. So we have to be willing to say, you know what, I need to surrender to this. Surrendering doesn't mean that you fall victim to it and that's all there is to it. No, it's a willingness to say, I'm ready to kind of look at this. I'm ready to see what it is I'm continuing to carry around with me. And as a result of carrying this around with me, how is it impacting my everyday living?
Yeah,
So
that part.
people could, at that point, if, so many people tend to be afraid to ask for help, and specifically around the areas of mental health, there's still this connotation that if you do talk to somebody, it's the worst thing in the world because they're going to think you're crazy or that. I mean, we have counselors, we have coaches, we have all kinds of people available, just average people who have been through something, who have lived through it, that can share some of their experience that makes it relatable and help others to get through that. That's another step too, is being willing to reach for help and ask for it.
Yeah.
People can be trying all they can to help someone who's suffering, but until that person is willing to say, hey, I'm suffering, it's just like, what are we doing here? We're not doing much of anything. The other thing is being aware of awareness leading towards tolerance, meaning being aware of your emotions and identifying them to allow yourself to resolve them. Sometimes we're not even allowing ourselves to feel what we're feeling because we think if we feel it, it'll be too much and we won't live through it. And there's such freedom when we can finally get that outside of ourselves.
Something just hit me just now. The point before this one, with the accepting and the allowing to feel. So, isn't that kind of linked to pride? Because for just listening to you, pride for me seems to be the big block, the big barrier with these last 2 points that you mentioned.
Pride is a really big thing. And again, think of maybe social conditioning. Maybe think of childhood and watching your parents or those that were in charge of you. And if they weren't people that were willing to ask for help, I mean, asking for directions somewhere, because I mean, that seems so silly, but to a child, how do we interpret everything that we see and how do we label it? It's like we can't decide for a child that their life wasn't good if they perceived it differently than we as the adults saw it, right? We don't have a right to tell anybody that their life was right or wrong, or their perception of what happened to them didn't happen to them. That's up to them.
Yeah.
So, pride of not being able to ask for help. If you have a belief around you that talking to somebody, a counselor or a pastor or a coach or somebody like that, then you're not going to get very far. And sometimes we use those without even consciously being aware that we're blocking ourselves to get our own help.
Right.
Because what will people think of me? As if you feel like you have to tell anybody that you're helping yourself.
So that part of it, that's the shame. So you have the pride where, here I am. I shouldn't need to be depending on anyone. I shouldn't need to be calling on anyone. I should be able to do this myself. And then there's a shame that I shouldn't have been going through this at all. And I can't allow for anyone to know that I have gone through this and put on a front, not be vulnerable enough to say, I'm hurting in order to get that bit of empathy that is out there waiting
Well,
for
there's
us.
guilt too. I mean, there's a guilt of
Okay.
thinking,
Okay.
how much did I let this happen to me? You know, so I feel guilty for that I had to go through that experience, that somehow I must ask for that to happen to me on some level. Or I participated in something that I knew was not good for me, but I did it anyway. So yeah, you have guilt and shame or cousins. They're, you know, right
Yeah.
there.
You find that happening a lot with people suffering from abuse and with rape victims, right?
Yes, 100%.
That self blame.
Right. 100%, you know, and I mean, especially even a child. I mean, they don't even have the emotional intelligence to know that what was done to them was not anything that had to do with them as much as it had to do with the violator being somebody who needed their own control, their own sense of dominance over someone. But to a child, they just assume that they've done something that's caused this to happen to them.
I'll come back to that. What's next on your list? Your little list that you have over there.
So as expression, so, you know, after we get through, confrontation of emotional blockages, meaning emotional healing faces emotional pain. When those feelings, we allow those feelings to come up, that we actually have in a healthy, safe environment, that we're free to be able to finally say those things and to get this emotional pain out of your body. We all, if we've had some kind of negative experience happen to us and we've labeled that as negative, there's something that's stored within inside of our body that every time we have that, let's say, if I can think of an example real quick, I've had a client who had to deal with anger issues, and I mean, they got easily angered, and I mean, they were even shocked themselves that they just little things would set them off. And we couldn't figure out where that was coming from. So we went through and we figured out where that happened from. Childhood. I mean, those negative things that have happened to us have all happened at some point in our early developmental life. And we've labeled them as such. We've labeled those experiences as harmful, negative, guilt, shame, whatever we want to call that. And then we just build momentum like a snowball over the years of those experiences happening again and again. And it makes that snowball or that emotional trauma bigger and bigger and bigger. So then we actually respond from that without even thinking, because it's been practiced so much. But we also have a physical component inside of us. So when I asked her what it felt like in her when she got angry, she said she felt like her head just wanted to explode. So when we worked through these stages of getting to where we could release that anger, she no longer had this pounding explosion feeling in her head. And it was so liberating and so freeing to think that that was no longer going to be holding her back. Did that mean that she never got mad again in the future? No, there's certain things that are absolutely warranted for getting mad. But the mad didn't come at a reactive state that just made them out of control. It comes from a place of, hey, this is not right. This is not just. And I'm going to go do something about it. So there's a difference there. And that's part of going through the healing, is learning to not be afraid of your feelings, because maybe you've had extreme feelings of sadness, for instance. So you start to work through releasing sadness, and you're thinking, oh man, that feels really good. I don't feel that sadness when my body's slumping over, my head's down, my shoulders are tucked forward, and I'm all like I'm in a ball because I'm so sad. Now I feel like I'm actually sitting up and my shoulders are back and I feel free for the first time. Man, I hope I'm never sad again in life, because they're so afraid that they're going to go back to that extreme extreme feeling of sadness again, that they could accidentally go into, I'm never going to feel anything but joy for the rest of my life and try to avoid anything that might make me sad. That's not where we want to go with healing, right? We want to be able to know that it's okay to have feelings. It's okay to express them. We just don't want them to control us.
But when it comes to our feelings, we're not really taught that we are in control of our feelings. We are all of the opinion that our feelings happen, or I shouldn't say we are all of the opinion. But generally, we are of the opinion that our feelings happen just because we're a part of a situation, and because of that situation, it invokes an emotion, and we are victims to our own emotions. It's not we have control over what happens with our emotions. Something is sad. We get some sad news. We're not in control over feeling sad because we get that news. We feel sad because the news is there, and that sadness takes us over. So
right. Or we have those that have learned very early on that it's not okay to cry.
Okay.
And I don't mean there's just, boys are a very good example of that, but
right.
There's been girls that have been taught this too, probably for various reasons. And usually it's because whoever the caregiver is in charge of them feels uncomfortable with this child expressing their feelings. So we immediately impart the wisdom because we're the adults, right? We know what's better for them. So we're going to tell them, don't cry.
Well, real men don't cry, Yeah, that's what a lot of us have been taught growing up.
Right.
Real men don't cry.
Because it makes everybody else uncomfortable. That it's, so I worked with a girl who just would never allow herself to cry because she had been taught very early on. And so she had a lot of great coping mechanisms that would never allow her to cry. And yet that not being able to cry actually was causing a lot of disruptions in other areas of her life, meaning vulnerability in a relationship, in intimacy, where you get to express your true feelings in that. But if you have not been allowed to do that, then how could you truly be present and open to a partner or even to your own child if you've been taught to block that out?
I'm going to take it a step further and a centimeter deeper. From being open to a partner or to your child, but even to yourself. Because you're really going to have to be that to yourself before you can give it to anyone else.
Right.
You and my friend Jan are reversing roles tonight. She is on Facebook asking a question, making a comment. Dr. K, why do people think it's a bad thing to be emotional or have an emotional bond with someone? Why are we taught or told to get over it? We're not robots. I mean, Jesus wept along the lines of what we're just talking about. And here she's asking the question. I think she asked this question before you started addressing it. I'm just seeing it. But
yeah, that's a great question. And I love that she asked that question because I hope it gives others the ability to ask that question themselves. Why have I not allowed myself to feel? What have I learned about having feelings that have, caused me maybe harm, maybe caused me disconnection? Like maybe if I got emotional at the dinner table or something, then I would get sent to my room with no dessert that night because I acted out. It's really being able to go back and identify these things. Look, the rational brain can say, that happened to me when I was 5 years old. That was a long time ago. I'm now an adult. I live on my own. That doesn't bother me. But your unconscious brain still has that. information and still operates from that information as if it is true. You're not good, you're bad, you need to go to your room and not get dessert. So maybe that person who's saying that was when I was 5, it was a long time ago, but now in their adult life, they're secretly eating 3 times the dessert every night because now they're an adult and they can, and they don't have to go to their room. Okay, well, that's really great, but what is it doing to your physical body now? What is it doing to your physical health?
Yeah.
These are where our emotions, if we're not dealing with them, can actually turn around and cause us more harm in the end, because it's self-harm at this point.
So I guess the child being told that, or having that experience, when as an adult they're using these negative coping mechanisms, as when these adults become parents themselves, they know generally they pass on the same things to their children. Is that how it normally goes? Because now it becomes generational. We pass it on like it's a baton in a
right,
relay.
and maybe we do it in a different way, right? So maybe my mom said, "Hey, you're bad because I'm disrupting the dinner table or whatever. So go to your room. You don't get no dessert." Then move forward. I have my kid. Well, I'm never going to tell my kid they can't have dessert. So now I'm going to feed them all of the dessert that they want. Is that healthy? How is that any healthier than, we're just doing maybe a different harm, so to speak? I don't think that that's people's intentions, though, to purposely do harm to their children.
But
I think it's just what we do. Trying not to have what was done to us done to our children, but in the meantime, we could be flipping the script in another extreme way.
But ultimately caused from not dealing with the issue in the first place.
Correct.
But
it's never too late. It's never too late to change the story. It's never too late, meaning it's never too late to heal from the initial chapters of your life.
That's so sad, though. That and in and of itself painful. It causes more harm than anything else, because looking back at that situation, no one could be happy about that. I don't.
Right. Okay. So the situation I give you, that's from the child's perspective, right? The child says, "Oh, I was bad, so I get sent to my room with no dessert." What was mom or dad's observation at the table? The kid is overtired, overstimulated, beyond reason at this point, because again, they didn't get a nap or whatever. Parents are tired because they've worked all day, and they need some separation. They need the child to go to bed because they're just too tired. So the parents thinking maybe they're doing the right thing. But the kid has labeled the experience as if they're bad. We all have labeled our life experiences based on our observation of what we think was done or not done. What was said was not said. That doesn't make it the other person's experience, if that makes sense.
Okay. So it does make sense to me. And that, to me, is something that can be applied to your childhood experience as well as any adult experiences. Talking about the relationship that went south for whatever reason, and you're looking healing from that because now you're hurting, especially if you were the one that did something. I remember one breakup I had where I did something, but actually I didn't do something. I was blamed for something. And I took it on to myself as me being the one that did it. And as a result, I was the one that caused the demise of this relationship. And it was a really good friend. And I look back at the relationship and it was a great relationship, but unfortunate that it had to come to an end, and it was my fault. And dealing with that for a while, I kept putting the blame on me. Until one day I realized, what wait. I'm not in control of what anybody else may think, or what any information that anybody else may receive. And if this is valued in the very same way that I value it, then it is worth recognizing where the information is coming from, possibly what the cause, the reason may be for that information being passed on to them. It could be jealousy. I've heard a lot of stories of people being jealous of the relationship between two individuals, that so much so that they create division between them, only because they are feeling left out. And so I really don't know what it was, but if the other person in the relationship, and this is what worked for me. One, I had to I recognized for myself that it's not my fault. Yes, I was the one that was blamed. I was the one that it was said did something, but it wasn't my fault. And if this individual wanted to believe that that was the case, and that this relationship wasn't worth it for us to work through that situation, then it needs to be let go. Because when something truly happens where it is my fault, this is where we're going to end up. So I can actually take joy in the fact that I was spared more time and effort in this relationship. And that is how I had to look at it to process it. Now, could I have been wrong in my thinking? Is there a right or wrong way to think about it?
Right, and that's a really good point, because there's your side, her side, and somewhere in between, there's an in-between side.
Right.
You know, there's truth somewhere in the middle of both of that.
Yes.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. As you're telling me this story, it's flashing in my head when I was really young, early 20s, not having, Amy, how many of us are actually taught how to have relationships with other people?
No, I learned it on TV.
We just relationship, right? I mean, we're born and we just relationship based on who's relationshiping with us. You know, how does our caretakers take care of us? How do our, parents look at us, our siblings treat us?
Yeah.
We don't ever sit down and say, this is how you have a relationship. So I have a relationship, and because I was always somebody who cared so much about making sure everybody else was happy, that even if the relationship was not healthy for me, my choice would be, let's see if I can get them to break up with me, because it would be easier for me to take it.
Oh, wow.
Because I wouldn't want to hurt them that way. So then they end up breaking up with me, and later down the road, I'm like, how come nobody wants me? So there's a flip the script on the whole story too, because it was like, no, it doesn't work that way. You can't do both of those. But we do things like this, it's so important that we understand our emotions and our feelings, and why we're expressing them, and why we're feeling them, and what we're doing with them, because they affect us on so many levels.
One comment I had gotten here on the text line. you can't blame yourself. And this was from a comment made earlier. I'm just seeing it. You can't blame yourself for some of these things. But who else is there to blame? Isn't self the easiest person to blame in the grand scheme of things? Yeah, you can point a finger at someone else. I say they are the cause of it.
Right.
But a lot
As
of
we
the
have
times
three pointing back at us.
a lot of the times we come back to, boy, what could I have done differently? So it doesn't seem, telling the story, it doesn't seem like you're painting a picture of self blame. But you go behind closed doors and it always ends up being, boy, I could have done this differently. I could have done that differently. What if I had done? Should I? And the if I coulda, woulda, shoulda,
Ugh, those are the
all comes
worst
out.
phrases in the world, right? I mean, those are great phrases for setting us up to remain stuck. If I shoulda, woulda, coulda. Oh, what a way to just torture yourself with being just remaining stuck and never moving forward in your life. I mean,
Okay, so if you
things
don't ask,
happen.
but
We make choices sometimes that aren't perfect. We might cause a problem in a relationship through our own wounds or neglect or not paying attention to the relationship. And, so the goal is to learn from that. The goal is to improve that, but not to continue to berate and beat yourself up over that for the rest of your life. If you do that, I can guarantee you're not going to have a good relationship in the future.
okay,
Certainly not with yourself.
right. So and I'm gonna come to that comment in just a moment, Jan. Much love, the motivator. I see you're listening over there in New Jersey. So the if I coulda, woulda, shoulda are the worst phrases to move on in the process of healing. What then do we replace that with? Because we have to, if we're going to remove something, don't we need to replace it with something? Because a lot of us feel that if something is in there, then it needs to have a placeholder.
Well, we're assuming that if we're going to talk about a relationship, for one, right? I mean, if that's where we're using the if, woulda, shoulda, coulda.
But
If I had done this, the relationship would have lasted. If I had done this, they wouldn't have left, or whatever. That's a huge assumption, right?
yeah,
Because there was obviously, I'm assuming, a breakdown in communication in the relationship, that it was getting to that part that now you're questioning whether you should have done something that would have made it better.
okay,
When the relationship is over, it's over. Most people are starting to move on. So maybe take that time to work on healing yourself, liking who you are, understanding the qualities that you bring to a relationship. One of the things I've noticed that people, when they get into relationships, one, they're rushed so quickly, and secondly, I don't know that people spend a whole lot of time seeing how much their value systems and belief systems align with one another. They just know what they like and don't like, but there's so much more to a relationship than what we like or don't like. We all have solid beliefs and values that we hold and live by. Those are like our moral compasses. And I think it's important that those complement one another.
but all right, for us guys, because we're visual creatures, because you are sexy as none other can be. Isn't that all that there needs to be? So if the relationship falls apart, it has to be okay. I guess the if we're gonna be replacing if I coulda, woulda, shoulda, now then it becomes she ain't sexy no more. That's why.
Oh, yeah, I wish I had gone to the gym more so I would have stayed sexy for him. Screw that.
Well, you see, the if I coulda, woulda, shoulda, that's still showing up. But to say if an individual is gonna say something along the lines of, "Boy, I'm glad that this came to an end," to replace the "if I coulda, woulda, shoulda," to say, "I'm glad this came to an end."
Right. And part of that just alone is like the disconnection, the severing of that. The if I woulda, coulda, shoulda keeps us still connected to that. Right? We're not completely done with that relationship if we're constantly sitting from the place of I wish I coulda, shoulda, woulda done this. Of okay, that happened and it's over, and what can I learn from that experience? What do
That
I want
part.
to draw in for my next relationship?
That part. Even if we were to reconnect, what then can I now do differently? How then can I navigate this differently? That is where
Right,
I'm
because if
coming
I'm
from.
away from it long enough, do I really want it, or was it convenient for me, or was it filling
Yeah.
a need that I wasn't filling for myself?
And that's where I'm coming from when I say, could we just say, "Boy, I'm glad that this is over. I'm glad." And
Yeah, that
take it
really
as that
is part of
learning
the
experience.
like the fifth one on this list here is acceptance.
Let's go, Dr. KellyRae. Let's
100%. There
go.
you go. You nailed it.
Let's go.
Okay, good night. Click.
Right? Jeez. You know, that part of it that is probably the best thing that could happen with anyone that is really willing to heal. That acceptance. Isn't that like the whole steps to grieving?
Yes.
Because it's accepting it at the beginning, or
Yeah,
is
I
that
mean, we
accepting
have
it at the end?
denial and we have,
Yeah,
like it's not happening. And
right.
I mean, very much, yeah. Especially when it comes to a relationship, it is part of a grieving. It's a part of you too that's going through this. You're not going to be who you are after this relationship ends. I mean, we're not the same person we were in college dating now, years later, with more experience, more things that have, maybe careers and kids and other things that have transpired. We cannot look at getting into a new relationship like we did when we were in college. We're different people than that.
Yeah,
And that's a lot of like what you have shared openly. Like you've talked to people and worked through a lot of things. You're not the same person as you were the time before you started doing all of that. So you're not going to approach your life in the same way that you did before you did all of
nor
those
should you.
things.
Nor should you. Because
Right.
again, we are living beings, and as living beings, we have to evolve to exist, and evolving involves learning and changing. I think one of the issues that a lot of us have is that change part. And I don't think I can stress this enough. Anything that isn't changing is stagnant. Anything that is stagnant is pretty much dead. So, as a part of our growth process, we need to be changing, and we need to be recognizing our change and accepting our change. And this is how I feel about it, and I feel strongly about it. And as a part of that, you'll see on my posts on social media, one of the hashtags that's in there is changing the narrative. We need to be There needs to be some type of change as we develop. And in the healing process, like with the grieving process, accepting what is, and saying the unconventional. And that's probably why it came to me just now. I really didn't think of it before just now. Saying, I am glad this happened as a part of the healing process, because now, for me, as I see it, you are at that acceptance place where you say, boy, you know what? I could not have done this any better. As a child, my mother used to say to me, I used to get frustrated with some things. So she would say two things to me. When I couldn't get it, she would say, try and try and try again. Where are you getting this attitude of giving up from? Where is that going to benefit? How is that going to benefit you? And then she said something even more profound. She said, when men on earth have done their best, angels in heaven can do no better.
Hmm.
And the first time she said that to me, it stopped me dead in my tracks. I remember being so frustrated and angry. And I think it was just something that I was trying to do, and I was just determined to do it, and it just was not working out for me. And if anybody that knows my mother, once you meet my mother, you fall in love, right? And just about everybody that has met her currently still misses her, and it has been 13 years.
Hmm.
And so, in the most loving way ever, the most loving voice, she said those words to me, and it stopped me dead in my tracks. I remember that clearly. And I was like, wow. Because here it is. The best of the best out there, the purest of pure, the most perfect that there is, could do no better than me. Because I gave my all, I did my best. And if that is the way you approach relationships after they've ended, if that's the way you approach a situation when I say relationships, I'm talking across the board. I'm talking about that job that you lost.
Yes.
I'm talking about that child that you may have lost. I'm talking about that friendship that you have
Yes.
lost, that marriage, that car, that
Yes.
computer that has died.
That bank account.
Oh my goodness. The gas that just went out of your car. I'm laughing now, but you know, in a situation like now where gas prices are going up hourly, you know, to even say, boy, you know, I'm glad that I went through that situation, because now I know how to do this better if I end up in this situation again. Going to the comment that was sent to me by text, and like I said, you and Jenny's, you guys have reversed roles. She was talking last night, and you were commenting. No, you're talking tonight.
She was
and she's
awesome.
commenting, and that's one of the things that she just said. She said, "I love this woman." But she says, in Jamaican culture, we're taught, "Why are you crying?" And this is so true. I'll give you something to cry for.
My mom must have been Jamaican, because she said that to me all the time.
I think this is parenting all over, but I'll give you something to cry for. And as a child, I could never understand what was needed, what was required of me at that point, because I was not one that got a spanking on a regular basis. I was too quiet and too good a child for that. But I got the occasional one, you know, pop here, pop there. And to cry because I got slapped, I believe was a requirement, because I'm hurting. And we express hurt a lot of times by crying. But when we're told, what are you crying for? Let me give you something to cry for. I think that's the most confusing thing ever for a child. Because
I remember my mom one time saying that to me. She says, "Do you want me to give you something to cry for?" And I said, "Yes." And she went, "What?" And we both, it kind of disrupted the whole pattern, because it was a pattern, right?
But yeah, kids say the darnest things, right?
Right. I mean, yeah, give me something to cry about.
I'm like, how how do we process
Okay,
that?
so there you go. There's a very good example of getting passed down from lineage to lineage, right?
Yes, yes.
I mean, your mom's mom probably told her the same thing, or grandma did. Who knows?
Well, yeah, we had to have learned it somewhere. You know, you and I grew up in two completely different parts of the world.
I don't think as kids that we probably said, man, I can't wait till I have my own kids to say that to them one day.
Right. And to think of it, I've never said that to my children.
No, I've never said that to my kid either.
Go figure. And I haven't, I didn't spoil mine. Mine are
No,
far from spoiled. You know,
I spoiled her with love, like showing up for her and allowing her to share how she feels and talk about feelings. That's kind of a big thing we like to do.
um, I'm just looking at some of the comments that are coming in here. You know, I guess depending on where you are, some people can't comment in the stew pot, so they just sent me the message on the text line. I get it. I get it. Cool. The phone line is also open, 773-789-STEW. The line is open. You can use it. Don't be shy. Dr. KellyRae doesn't bite, and if she does, it's none of our business. You know.
Right. We don't talk about it.
Although this is real talk, and this would be the broadcast to talk about it on. Tonight we're talking about healing, not causing the damage, physically or otherwise. But I guess we can't talk about healing without talking about causing the damage.
Healing from bites. Yeah. Okay.
So the and on that note, we can say, okay, the damage has been done, whether intentional or unintentional. We the holding on to that damage. Jan also gave a comment. If I feel that we hold on to the memory of that person, not the person, because another person will catch your eye, and the person that you were holding on to is not even a thought anymore. You know, I still think about. It's probably because I do relationships differently. When it comes to intimate relationships, they generally fall in the pattern of we were friends and it moved on to us being more than friends. So I tell the story a lot. The majority of my exes and I were friends till today. Even one of my ex-wives, and I've been married multiple times, clearly, because I just can't seem to be the best husband I can be. I don't know.
Maybe we need to talk.
It's just one way to not put it on them. It's just that the relationship just didn't work. That's all it is. That's all it is, really. I'm a great guy. Okay, ladies, I'm a great guy. So here it is. For 10 years, I didn't speak with my first wife after we split. For 10 years. Today, we're great friends again. But there had to be that process. Now, that process was a little bit of a lengthy process. But it goes to show that all is not lost as long as there's life in your body.
Right. Well, and you're both not the same people that you were 10 years
That
ago.
too. Incidentally, we got married in 1999. So it's longer than that. But hey, yeah, we're not the same people.
Who's keeping track?
Yeah,
We're just
not the
going
same-
from the part you didn't talk for 10 years.
Right. Let's go with that. And but we're great friends now. And I'm good friends with a number of my exes. We can talk about even relationships that they're in today. their own personal relationships, and working through child rearing, and working through job situations, and these other intimate relationships. Some people say, don't talk to your ex about your current, but do you talk to your friend about your current? And no, you're getting into classifications. You're getting into um what I want to say, not stereotype. Well, I guess you could call it stereotyping, but you're categorizing people versus recognizing the relationship. So yeah, we're exes, but does that mean that we're not friends? How does that work?
Well, and so I have exes as well, and some of us
Do
I could
you?
absolutely be friends with, but that also depends on where the ex is
Mm,
in their journey, right? Have they gotten over being mad, bitter, you know, whatever it may be, or have they bounced from one relationship to the other and it seems like it's always the same relationship over and over again?
right.
I don't know that we would necessarily have anything in common with one another to be friends, but I can tell you I would be civil to every single person I've ever come across, just because I don't want to not live my life. I'm a progressively going forward kind of person. So
Yeah,
I don't want to spend too much time way back there looking in the rearview mirror.
that part too. The not recognizing what you're going through in order to keep moving forward. You can't go forward looking back.
No, and sometimes we think that that rear view mirror is actually the front windshield rather than just that small little mirror that you're looking through.
Yeah. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be aware of what is behind you, but if forward is where you're going, is either you're going to be going where you're looking or looking where you're going.
Right.
One of the two. It's not going to be both. So, where do you want to be? And if it is the case where we're looking to heal, that means that we're looking to move from this place that we're currently in. And if the place that we're currently in is a place of hurt as a result of a situation, as a result of an argument, as a result of a loss, then clearly we're looking to move past this. How do we move past this? And
Yeah.
that is where your
That's
list
where we
comes
go
in.
through those steps. We start to talk about it. We start to heal from it. Again, some people go through self-help books because maybe that's the journey that works best for them.
Well, that's what's
You know,
advertised, and it caught their ear.
what's that?
That is what is advertised, and it caught their ear.
Right, exactly. Or, maybe they go to a training class that's geared towards helping you understand yourself better. I mean, that's ultimately what we're needing to do as part of the healing, is understand who we are. And it's not a thing of let's go shame ourselves or, see how much guilt we can pour on ourselves from where we are. It's let's just kind of put it all out on the table, look at it, and heal what needs to be healed, and learn from those things that we may have made decisions to do based on our wounded selves. That's apologizing to somebody or making amends, or whatever, to move forward.
Apology. Let's touch on that for a moment. Do you think that apologies should come from a place of, after apologizing to yourself first, then you apologize to someone else?
That's a really good question. Some people may not be safe for you to do that with. So there's other ways to do that. I know that I've had people do, like, in journaling. You're writing out your apology on a piece of paper and you can read it out loud. And even burn it. The thought is to get it outside of your head so that you can release that part from yourself. Again, because some people may not be in a position emotionally to receive an apology from you.
Yeah, but even so, I'm not looking at the person that is receiving the apology. I'm looking at me, the individual who needs to be giving that apology.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm always coming from a place of start with self. So if then we're starting with self, don't we need to apologize to self first if we're going to apologize to someone? Because no, we have to recognize what we're apologizing for.
Right.
So you're gonna tell yourself, boy, I'm self, I'm sorry. If you really stop and think about it, you're gonna be asking yourself, what are you sorry for? And in the same way, extending that apology to someone else, they're well within their rights to ask you, what are you apologizing for? So even with journaling, you're going to write it down and burn it if that is the process that you're recommending. But writing down that first apology to whom? To that individual that you may believe that you have wronged, or someone that has told you that you have wronged them? Or do you write it to self?
It could be both.
But you can't.
Because maybe in the apology to someone else, it's actually allowing you to look and take accountability and ownership for what you've done to yourself or allowed have done to you.
So there isn't one that comes before the other. There isn't self that comes before the other person, or
I
the other
don't
person
think
that comes.
so.
But as long as you get
I don't
self
think
in
so.
there,
For sure,
'cause-
yourself has to be in the equation, right? Because without that, I mean, we're going nowhere.
I have learned over time that, boy, there's a reason why you go on the plane and they tell you put on a mask. If it drops down from the ceiling, you need to put on yours first, because you need to deal with self. You need to take care of self before you can take care of anyone else. So if you're going to be happy, you need to be happy within yourself first. It wasn't until I became an adult that it hit me. Nobody else can make me happy.
Right. And nothing can make me happy. Anything that we could get outside of ourselves is pretty short-lived. We have to be in this flesh carcass for as long as we're going to breathe in it. So we might as well make it the best environment we can for ourselves. We're not going to spend company with anybody more than we're going to spend with ourselves and our thoughts.
And this is what it keeps coming back to, the self. And so here we are, looking to get by in life, looking to get through on a daily basis, and we're not looking at self in the whole thing. We keep looking outside at others. So now we need to heal from whatever it is that is hurting us, and we're looking for that healing outside. If you would, just for a moment, Dr. KellyRae, just go through your bullet points again for me. And in going through them, I want our listeners to think to self. Because for me, that would be the ideal way to go. And a great
Well, and I
place
can
to start.
tell you from a client's perspective, when a client comes because they want to work on healing or to work through, I don't know, a relationship, a failed career, or whatever it may be, I can tell you the first point of contact, when they talk to me, they tell me the reason that they're in the position that they're in is because of all of these things outside of them.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be their job or the way they were raised or the religion they had, or, I mean, it's so to go through these bullet points is first for people to understand that, as you said, it's an inside thing, but people always start with the outside thing first. And then it's like peeling an onion. We start to unpeel those layers until we get to the core, which is us. So we can't start with us first. We have to peel the layers.
Okay. I got you.
And that's where people want the fast track, right? They want that quick fix that says, okay, I don't have to go through the peeling of the layers, because in the peeling of the layers, I'm going to learn some things about myself. Or I might realize that, I wasn't a victim to that, or I see what my role in that was, or any of those things. And that can't happen.
I see where you're coming from with the layers now. Yes. Okay, cool. I got you. Where it is, what were the contributing factors from me, the individual, that led to these things, to get to the
Right,
core
because
of
then we're
me.
going to get to why you feel the way that you feel coming in here. Like, I'm
Got
not
you.
good enough. I'm not lovable. I'm not seen. I'm not heard. Whatever it might be.
Got you.
Well, why do you feel that way? And then that's when they give me all the outside exterior stuff, and then we start peeling it away to get to the root or the core of where all of that comes from. And that's the other thing too. Some people are they're concerned about coming either through counseling or coaching or that, because they think it's going to take a long time and I have to go talk about my childhood, and I don't want to talk about my childhood. I've already talked about that. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't, but the thing is that's where all the stories start.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it's not like we need to go back to when you were conceived and spend a whole lot of time. At least with my goal, we're going to go back there, but the goal is to get to the root of it so we can move forward. We don't need to stay there for 20 years talking about how having that ball taken away from you when you were 2 really has upset you your whole life.
Right.
People don't need to waste their time that way. They want to move forward. They want to get out of pain. They want to have a good life.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the things that I think people might benefit from knowing, 2 things is, one is some signs of knowing if they need healing.
Yeah.
So if I can share some of those. So some of them are like always feeling victimized by other people or outside situations. Like you're always the victim of something that happens or goes wrong for you. The other would be confusion or difficulty concentrating, or even memory loss. These are good signs that your brain is still trying to process a bunch of stuff and it's not making sense. And so it's, kind of creating some blockages.
Mm-hmm.
Feelings of guilt, shame, or hurt. Feeling sad or helpless. Maybe somebody who's withdrawing from social connections or isolating at home. And I know that's kind of weird, especially just coming through COVID, where we're all home all the time. And now maybe you're working at home, you're no longer going to the office. Being very mindfully aware, am I still having some kind of social connection with people, or am I just, hanging out at home and never going out anymore? These are things to be aware of. Insomnia or loss of physical energy, just kind of feeling tired all the time. Always feeling anxious or stressed, and you can't seem to catch a break. That's what your thoughts are. Yeah. Highly sensitive to negative emotions or reactions. Not being able to let go of negative emotions, negative conversations, or negative things that happened in the past. Difficulty showing love, trust, or sympathy towards others. always upping someone else's situation to minimize theirs so yours sounds good. And I know we all know somebody. If you're telling a story about what happened to you, let's say you broke down on the road and you had a flat tire, somebody else has a more tragic story than that they have to somehow interject, so it makes yours not seem so bad. Easily triggered, overreacted to seemingly little things, holding a grudge, difficult forgiving others, going from one unhealthy relationship to another, and every job you work at, the boss or the coworkers are out to get you. These are just some examples of reasons people might need to have some healing, to see also maybe what their part and their role is that keeps attracting those kinds of things that are happening in their lives.
Right. How awesome would it be if the individual going through those things repeatedly just stops and takes that inventory, that does that self stock taking, and do the shadow work, the self work. You know,
Right.
sit with a Dr. KellyRae Brown, and and say, boy, you know, all right, here it is, or help me recognize what it is, because more often than not, the individual going through these things over and over and over again is the individual that you could easily just call crazy, because they're doing the same things expecting different results.
Yes. Well, and how many times do we actually stop and disconnect from our day to check in to say, how am I doing? How am I feeling? We do more of that by standing on the scale to see how much we weigh. We do more of, you know,
Yeah.
go buy new clothes or all of these things again outside of us. When do we
Right.
ever stop and pause and stop listening to the media, stop scrolling through social media because we're waiting for our doctor's appointment or to have our car oil done? So rather than just sitting there and checking in and scanning your own internal body to see what it is you're feeling, we go to our phones and we start scrolling or we start playing games or something. We're so conditioned to just be doing something all the time that we're missing so much of what we need for ourselves emotionally, and then we pick up habits that aren't healthy for us.
And end up not healing.
Right.
We just gloss over, move on, and end up in a false sense of security. Because the moment that whatever it is happens to be a trigger, we're back to square one.
Right.
And you ever notice how it goes back to that individual would always go back to that one story? It's just like when.
And you're like, wait a minute, let me finish the story for you. Because you've heard it so many times.
Right. They never dealt with it.
Yeah, well, you know, it kind of stinks sometimes when you have to stop being a victim of your own story.
Say that again, Dr. KRB. Please say that again. Preach. Wow.
It does stink when you have to stop being a victim of your own story.
That's right up there with wanting to wear your pain like a badge of honor.
Yes. Because who am I without my story?
Yes. Yeah, we let those situations define us, don't we?
Yeah.
And because what, they stand out so much in our minds that now we're defined by them.
Well, and again, like I said earlier on, sometimes we have gains from those stories, right? We might get special treatment because we've been through something tough. And again, these are unconscious things. These aren't, I don't think people intentionally or consciously aware of what can I get as a part of being a victim. I mean, just saying that out loud, you're like, why would anybody want to do that or be that? But in some ways, maybe in that victimization state of our story, it somehow gives us that false sense of somebody loves me because they're hearing my story. And they're there for me because of this hardship that I had. Therefore, I must be lovable. Not realizing that if I could just learn to release this stuff that's inside of me and learn to love who I am completely and wholly for who I am today, imagining the things that I could see, the things that I could be, the things that I could do, the things that I could have, the people that I could be around who would resonate that same love that I feel for myself because I've reached that level.
Right. That's awesome. That would be like the ultimate, wouldn't it?
Right. But that requires us disconnecting and checking in with ourselves, putting the phone down, resonate. Where am I today? Am I feeling tired? Okay, if I'm tired, when I'm tired, do I tend to be a little bit more grouchy? Do I tend to be a little bit more snappy? Take accountability for that so that I don't go bite my kid's head off because I'm tired. I'm grouchy.
Yeah.
Have I eaten today? Have I eaten food that's good for me, or have I eaten food that's making me feel inflamed and tired and sluggish? Because that's going to make me come across another way to people. What's my part? What's my role in how I'm showing up in the world today?
Hey, recognize that you are an individual and you have to address you. Nobody else can like you.
Right.
Or nobody else should have that responsibility because they have to deal with themselves. Hey.
Well, and get to know how awesome you are.
Oh my goodness.
The amazing gifts that you came in with.
Can you imagine if we all woke up each morning present? And I know there's somebody out there going, wait, so can you wake up absent? If you wake up, you're there. No, but think about it. Wake up present. Be aware of who you are. And when you meet someone for the first time and they ask, so who are you? You don't tell them what you do, but you tell them who you are. How many of us are at that place?
Right.
And if you're stopping to think right now, you need to be doing just what Dr. KellyRae Brown is saying. Instead of going to social media or to that series that you've been watching on whatever streaming network, you just stop and get familiar with self, check in with self, then you'd be better able to answer that question of, are you aware? Are you present? Are you
right?
home?
Asking yourself in the morning, how do I want to show up today? And then checking with yourself throughout the day and saying, am I showing up the way I said I would? Oh, wait a minute. I hit 3 red lights on the way to work and spilled coffee on myself. Man, now I'm really mad. Okay, is that how I want to show up today? No, I wanted to show up happy. So, hey, you know what? So I got some coffee on my clothes. I'm still okay. I'm alive. You know, we have,
At least I'm
sometimes we
wearing
have to
clothes.
play. I don't want to, right, play a game with ourselves, but we kind of have to because we will tend to resonate towards the negative side. It's that primordial part of our brain, that reptilian side of our brain that's always looking to be safe, quote unquote safe. Like some saber-toothed tiger is always out to get us. And that saber-toothed tiger really, more times than not, is us. We're getting ourselves far more often than people are outside of us getting us.
Yeah. We're so much of a danger to ourselves.
Oof. Yeah, we should come with our own warning label for ourselves.
Danger, self-present.
I may self-destruct.
You know, that really redefines that. It really does. When you stop and think about it, it really does. Dr. KellyRae, I want to thank you for taking the time out to share with us on this subject of healing. And thank you for making that post, which inspired me to do this topic tonight.
Thank you so much. You know, I can always geek out with you anytime on this subject matter. I just love that we can just connect on that level and just really, I don't know, it just gets me super excited because I see you get excited. I'm like, oh, yeah.
Oh, I can't hide it, can I?
Right.
I think I might need to do a better job at that.
Really?
No. Not
I
at all.
must subdued myself.
Dr. KellyRae, please tell people how they can get in touch with you, how they can follow you, how they can even schedule an appointment with you if that's what they need.
Thank you. I'm on a couple of social media websites. So on Facebook, it's KellyRae Brown. KellyRae is spelled KellyRae. It's all one word. I'm on Instagram at Ask Dr. KellyRae. My website is drkellyrae.com. And those are all great places that you can reach me. And I'd love to have a conversation with you. If any of this is resonating with you and you could use some extra support, I'd love to do that. And then I also, one other thing is I have a weekly podcast that I do every Monday, and it's called Getting Through the Week. And I talk about subjects like this and a variety of other things and offer tools and tips and that to help get you through your week.
And believe me, it's just awesome. You think this, well, actually, yeah, this was awesome. And it is awesome like this.
Oh, I love the way you reframed that and caught that because you almost wanted to subdue for a second, huh?
Almost. But I caught it. Hey, Dr. KellyRae, take care. We'll be in touch. You have a great night.
Thanks. You too, the same, Kevin. Thank you so much.
All right, take care.
Take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. KellyRae Brown. If there's one thing that we need to know, it's that life is good. We're gonna have a little bit of a musical therapy right about now. This is music from Rachel Davis Lee. Sorry, Rachel Davy Lee. The track is called Life is Good. From the EP Barely Concealed.
Car drive to a nice beach. Not a worry in the world. Just me by myself. Not a worry in the world. Left my problems at home. Life is good. Life is good. Life is good. Life is good.
Pull up that DJ Kevin Sentinel say that.
Yeah man, I can't pull it up.
Is good.
Because what?
Life is good.
If we don't recognize anything else, we need to recognize that life is good.
Is good.
Doesn't really matter how much gas prices go to.
Life is good.
life is still good.
Wake up, just on my day off. Thank God for my whole life. Go outside, sun is shining. Take a car drive to a nice beach. Not a worry in the world, just me by myself. Not a worry in the world, left my problems at home.
You were kept up for a good reason, Jan.
It's good life.
I'm not even sorry I kept you up.
Life is good. Life is good. Say love, we should meet up at the movies around 3 love. What you wanna see? What you wanna eat? Let's go have a drink. Endless possibilities. Not a worry in the world. Just me and my girls. Not a worry in the world. We just came to have fun. Life is good. Life is good. Life is good. Life
I've tried so hard to live my life without
This is music from Marty Dread.
you. You've got a way about you.
It's called I Really Love You.
I just can't live without you. You've got a way about you. I just can't live without
From the album Positive People.
my friends say I'm fooling myself. Leaving my feelings as a stock upon the shelf. That you don't love me, you don't really care. But I still want you near. So I say, I really love you. Can I really love you? Can't you see that? I really love you. And I just cannot live without you. The more I think of you, the more the teardrops come. And I'm feeling so down. I'll set you free if that's what I must do. Love is not possession, and I don't own you. You can live your life in all of your dreams. As sad as that seems, you got a way about you. I just can't live without you. You got a way about you. I just can't live without you. Oh no.
I don't know why you treat me so bad. Oh, 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 oh.
I wish you could tell me.
The best friend that I've ever had.
I don't know why you treat me so bad.
Oh, oh, oh.
This is the sound of Kashif.
Entirely in your hand. I can't
From the album Love On.
I don't understand why you're holding me responsible for things I did not do. But if you look into this heart of mine, only love for you you'll see in this flag. Hope that you will refrain and take the stain off my name. Leave it all
to the sound of the one and only Teddy Greaves Jr. His rendition of Can't Get Over You.
And though I do my very best, I just can't find happiness. And it's all because I can't get over you. Hey baby, why, oh why? Thinking of you makes me cry. No matter how I try, I'm gonna love you by and by and by, baby. I don't know what to do. I can't get over you. I guess you'll always have a part somewhere deep in my heart. It's just hard to hide. Can't get over you. I've tried to lose myself in song, but the ties are much too strong. What am I gonna do? I can't get over you.
Now that the thing turn up, things sign and seal up on the love where we have shot a road. What am I gonna do now? The way you me love, ring my finger, everything brighter on the world. The way you run it tough. What am I gonna do now? The way you me love.
This is the sound of Hezzy. This track called Can't Come Between Us, the one and only Hezron.
Some message Facebook and some send Twitter. Now come between me and my wife. Hey, cancel them application like the US Embassy. And some of them their face you see people property and want to run in. Look like a something out the Lord of the Rings. Baby, me I tell you don't worry, cause no love means can't come between. It mean the whole world to me. Them can't come between. They want to leave you hanging, baby. No one to take your place. I'm so proud to say you're my wife. Now that the thing come up, things sign and seal up on the love when we have shot the road. What am I gonna do now? Know why you me love? Ring my finger, everything brighter on the world. Know why you run it love? What am I gonna do now? Know why you me love? Can't be more cook up at a rice. Even now, tell them we go steam a one fish. Even now, if a pretty looks then can't test them now. In a bedroom, better have that use. Now they never could come between us. Genuine love is what made us. Ooh. And baby, you should know. Oh, love means can't come between. It means the whole world to me. That can't come between. Oh, never gonna leave you hanging, baby. No one to take your place. I'm so proud to say you're my wifey. Now that the thing turn up, things sign and seal up on the love while we have shot the road. What am I gonna do now? The way you me love, ring my finger, everything brighter on the world. The way you run it tough. What am I gonna do now? The way you me love,
Smile like the stars that brightens up the night. Hand in my hand, hold me tight.
This is the sound of Tennille.
Eyes so deep, like
It's called Man, You're Beautiful.
yes. Boy, you make me feel so damn delicious.
One of the things we need to recognize as we heal,
So beautiful, flaws and all.
regardless of the flaws that we may be perceived to have, underneath it all. Remember, Dr. KellyRae talked about those layers. When you peel away all those layers, you need to recognize this. They're beautiful.
On a rainy day, you're like the hurricane that blows my cares away.
As we close out this edition of the Night Shift to DJ Kevin Stewart's Real Talk edition, I want to thank you each and everyone for tuning in. I want to say thank you to my affiliates for tonight. NIE Radio to New Jersey, much love to you. Big ups to the Motivator. Thank you, ClintonLindsay.com, the Foundation Reader Network. Truly appreciate, love you. Those locked in on Zeno FM, PEMGTV.com. Big ups to you. Those of you locked in right here at the home of the Night Shift with DJ Kevin Stew, KevinStew.com, where you're encouraged to have acceptance through enlightenment. Thank you, thank you, thank you. One of the things I want to remind you guys about, it's March Madness. And I should have done this at the beginning of the broadcast, but hey, better late than never. Remember, I am a Mary Kay consultant, and there is a special being offered right now by yours truly. Like right now, you know, and there's lots of hand washing going on. We tend to lose the tenderness in our hands. And even with the hard-working men out there, of course, hands. I know you ladies like to feel a firm hand, but it doesn't have to be like sandpaper. So here's what you can do. Go ahead and get yourself a satin hand set. And get a pink clay mask, 50% off. Talk about some madness. Yeah, man, that's some March Madness. And nothing wrong with it, you know. Let's go ahead and go to marykay.com/Kevin Stew and put in your order today. Yeah, man, that's it's legit, you know, kevinstew.com. You can go there too and you'll see the link on the page. Or you can go straight to marykay.com/Kevin Stew. Thanks again to McNeil Trucking for sponsoring this segment of the broadcast. It's called Musical Therapy. With Matt Trucking, you're in good hands. Give them a call, 954-406-9740. Again, that's 954-406-9740. It's a beautiful thing to have them as a part of this team. Big ups to my other sponsors, Pulse Media Group, Althea Healing, Heavenly Hands, and Reggae Global Entertainment. Much love to you. As we close out, remember, look up for members of your community. And remember, your community is not just development that you live in, but it spreads far and wide. So those that you pass on the bus, on the plane, the boat, or the train, whether you walk, ride, or drive, these are members of your community. So do something good for one of them today, because you never know who's going to do something good for you tomorrow. My name is DJ Kevin Stew. This is how I like to do it for you, with you, and to you. It's called The Night Shift with DJ Kevin Stew. It happens every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, 10 p.m. Eastern. Right here, kevinstew.com and affiliates. Do remember to catch me on Saturday for the Saturday Stew. It's always a good time when we bubble up and simmer down in the Saturday Stew. Catch me on Reggae Global Radio and the Foundation Radio Network, 8 p.m. Eastern for the Saturday Stew. Until we meet up again, y'all take care of yourselves. Good morning, good afternoon, good day to you wherever you are in the world from right here in South Florida. I wish y'all a good night. Hey, be good. If you can't be good at it. Take care, y'all. And remember, yeah, you're beautiful. Greetings and salutations, one and all. You're invited to tune in to the Night Shift with DJ Kevin Stew. It airs on Mondays with Community and Finance, Tuesdays with Healthy Love, and Wednesdays with Real Talk from 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Time. Come spend some time interacting in the stew pot where we keep things bubbling and wind down in musical therapy. The Night Shift with DJ Kevin Stew is on kevinstew.com, where you're encouraged to have acceptance through enlightenment.